family, welcome into a brand new episode of the Rams Report. Today, we're talking day 3 of training camp and day 2 of training camp practices. The Rams reported on Saturday, had their first day of practice on Sunday, and then yesterday, Monday, we had day 2 of practices. And the first day of practices that QB1 was out there, Matthew Stafford. So on today's episode, presented by PrizePicks, we're going to break down everything you need to know from the second day of Rams training camp practices. And guys, stay tuned until the end of today's episode because we're going to be talking about a young cat on this team that is really turning heads. And especially, every Rams fan should want to know about him. But if you're a fantasy guy, if you're a big fantasy guru, especially dynasty leagues, you haven't drafted your rookies yet, don't miss this because he is potentially a league winner for you. But we've got some other takeaways to get to before we discuss the rookie who is balling out. And the first of which is somebody else who was balling out on their first day back. A little day off for QB1 on Sunday. Probably hung out with the kids a little bit, kicked the feet up. And when he came back on Monday, he brought the belt with him. Man, he came back with a vengeance on Monday, guys. I was getting texts left and right from guys that were out at camp that he's in midseason form. And this defense that looked so good on Sunday, and their heads were spinning for the first couple plays dealing with the MVP who was absolutely dealing. He cooked. There's just no other way to say it. I was watching some of the clips. If you guys are following me on X, which you should be, X, Twitter, whatever they're calling it these days, drop a follow. J Durham Football. We'll promote it later. But I was posting all these highlights and jaw-dropping stuff from Matthew Stafford already in his first training camp practice. Man, is this season going to be fun. And McVay's already fired up about it. Here's what he was telling Sarah Barshop about day one and Barshop's impressions herself. She says, Rams head coach Sean McVay said the quarterback looked sharp, distributed the ball really well, and played with timing and rhythm. Two of the throws that drew the biggest cheers from the crowd, and one of these is posted on my Twitter if you haven't seen it yet, were passes to wide receiver Puka Nacua, this is the one, including a one-handed catch in the middle of the field in traffic, or actually this is the second one that I had posted, is the deep ball where he beat Trent McDuffie, went over him, and got him on that one. So go check out my Twitter because if you haven't seen that one, you are going to love it. I wish I could show it to you guys here, but I absolutely cannot. The NFL does not like when you do that on YouTube. Secondly, Byron Young. He was out of practice yesterday. And I'm not going to lie, initially, I think people get a little worried when they hear guys are missing training camp practices, but nothing to really worry about here, guys. It was just a rest day for Byron Young. Greg Beacham on it from the LA Times saying Rams edge Byron Young practiced yesterday and skipped today because they're trying to keep his right knee in top shape for the season ahead. He says it's something he's been dealing with for years now, but they always get it right. So nothing to really worry about with Agent Zero taking a rest day here. Just a important part of getting ready for another NFL season, the rigors of another NFL season. It's a knee injury Young has dealt with throughout his career, and he's continued to be a high-level productive player. And like we talked about with Matthew Stafford and Devontae Adams earlier this week when we talked about the rest days that are built into those guys' schedule, one of which will be tomorrow today, for Matthew Stafford. You know, it's smart. It's the way the Rams handle things with guys who are proven veterans. At this point, Byron Young is getting to his second contract in the NFL. We know who Byron Young is. We know how Byron Young prepares. There's nothing to worry about with him missing a practice. And we're going to continue to discuss everything you need to know out of practices here in just 1 second, guys. But before we do, I've got to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, our presenting sponsor here at Chat Sports, PrizePicks, America's #1 sports picks app. If you are a member of our Ramily, I know you know all about PrizePicks, but if you're new here, it is time to cash in on your ball knowledge, my friend, while you're watching sports with America's #1 sports picks app, PrizePicks. Guys, the app is really easy to use, super easy to put together a daily fantasy lineup. All you have to do is pick more or less on a few player stats, and you're locking it in. And with the social feeds feature, you can even share or fade lineups from your buddies and your favorite creators with just one click. All you have to do is go on the social feeds feature and drop a follow. I'm on there. Jackson Durham is the username, just my first and last. And you guys can see all my latest lineups, including this one I've got going for Taco Tuesday, guys. One of PrizePicks' special promo days where they offer promo projections, discounted projections called tacos. This one is for Olivia Miles. It's a discounted projection on her points, rebounds, and assists at 24.5 for the more. So I threw that one in alongside a little Jackson Holiday and Aaliyah Boston action, 5 to win 30. You guys could tailor fade. Just do it on PrizePicks. And if you're brand new, their new user offer is a new offer. Play your first $5 and get $150 in bonus lineups if you win. Just use code HMA when you sign up. That's right. PrizePicks just switched up their offer, so there's no better time to join. Lock in and win that first lineup. That's code HMA at sign up to get $150 in bonus lineups if you win your first $5 lineup. Let's keep talking about Byron Young and the injury situation there. Again, nothing to really worry about on a Byron Young front. Like I was saying before we gave our shout out to PrizePicks, we know who he is. But with him being absent for the day, and this also gives me an opportunity to show off our new updated depth charts. Guys, you're going to get excited about this. 2026 player photos in there for everybody. Shout out to, and I off the dome, I should have read it before. Somebody commented about it. You were 100% right, friend. We needed to get those updated. So we got those updated for you. But with Byron Young out, there's more opportunities for everybody. Josiah Stewart's going to get more reps. Keir Thomas is going to get more reps. Wesley Bailey's going to get more reps. All these young guys, Tom and Fox is going to get more reps. All those young guys are going to have opportunities to show up as potential depth options for this team, potentially hang on to this roster. So, little bit of a silver lining to Byron Young missing things. And again, I really don't think there's anything to worry about with Byron Young missing things. So if anything, it just gives opportunity for these young guys to get some more reps on his rest days, if there are more rest days to come. And we'll see how that plays out throughout the rest of the training camp. Of course, we'll keep you guys updated on everything. So make sure you're subscribed. But let's keep talking about the backup quarterback battle. This is something we've kept you guys in the loop on throughout Rams training camp. It's been one of, I would say, the biggest focuses for pretty much everybody throughout training camp. And of course it is. I mean, at the end of the day, this is our first round pick. This is Ty Simpson versus Stetson Bennett. And Sarah Barshop gave us a little bit of more insight into this quarterback competition yesterday. She said, with Stafford practicing and taking the first team reps, quarterback Stetson Bennett took most of the second team reps. McVay said rookie quarterback Ty Simpson came in and did a nice job with the one set that he did have. McVay said he didn't want to, and I think this is really important, didn't want to pigeonhole himself into an approach for how the reps would be allocated when Stafford isn't on the field, and that the coaching staff will continue to evaluate that. Excuse me. Can't speak today, guys. But I think this is important because what we're seeing here is already, in just a couple of days, Ty Simpson is making it known he is not going to sit and wait in that third spot for very long. Obviously, he's content to sit behind Matthew Stafford, but I don't think he's content to sit behind both him and Stetson Bennett, nor should he be. He should have a lot of fire in his belly about winning the number 2 job. Obviously, number 1 is off the table. That's not possible for him at this point. He knows that. But what he can do is go out there and be the best backup quarterback he can be. And he is showing with every opportunity that he gets that he is ready, willing, and able to be the backup quarterback for this team. I truly think he's going to continue to outperform Stetson Bennett. I think the Rams are going to realize pretty quickly here these second team reps when Stafford is out and these first team reps when I should rephrase. These second-team reps when Stafford is here and these first-team reps when Stafford is out, they need to go to Ty. They don't need to go to Stetson anymore. Because at the end of the day, Ty is the future of this franchise, and he is capable of being a backup quarterback in year one. I think he's already at that level. I think he's already going to prove himself to be ahead of Stetson Bennett in very short order. And that's no disrespect to Stetson Bennett. That's just a, I think, positive assessment of how well Ty Simpson has performed early on in training camp, how much he's impressing everybody that's out there watching and this Rams coaching staff. I tweeted about this yesterday. Make sure, again, I know I'm pushing it a lot, but make sure you guys are locked in on Twitter because that is where I'm firing off every piece of Rams news that we get. I am tweeting everything. It is the first place you're going to see Rams news, so I don't want you guys to miss a minute. Stay up to date with us on X. Stay up to the minute with us on X because, of course, I'm going to get the videos out as soon as I can, but the first place I can get Rams news to you guys is over on Twitter. It takes me 2 seconds to fire out a tweet. It takes me a little bit longer to get in the studio and film a video, so make sure you're following. The handle is right there, and it'll also be linked in the pinned comment on today's video. But let's talk a little bit more about this QB depth chart because I think it's going to change pretty quickly here. And again, I want to show you guys our updated photos. This is just another opportunity for me to do that really at the end of the day. But I do think pretty quickly Ty Simpson is going to be back in that QB2 spot. Just like for our long-term viewers, there was a moment where I had him QB2 ahead of Stetson, but then we get all these reports throughout the offseason that Stetson is winning this job, that Stetson is taking this job away from Ty Simpson early, that his OTA performance was incredible, but now it's starting to swing in the other direction. I told you guys this QB competition wasn't over, and it is really starting to bear out that it is absolutely not. But next, we got another young guy to discuss. I told you guys off the top of today's video that we've got a rookie who is really turning heads, and his name is CJ Daniels. Guys, I was walking through the office today, and a non-Rams fan, I am the only and very, very proud Rams fan that works here at Chat Sports. Diehard Rams fan, truly. And as I was walking through, I get stopped by one of my coworkers, and he's the producer for our Vikings show. Shout out to Dylan. And he goes, CJ Daniels looks like he's going to be a stud. And I just get this big smile on my face because I'm like, even other fans are starting to recognize what this guy is doing in just a couple of days at training camp. And I have received, I think, like 5 texts from guys who are out at training camp talking just about CJ Daniels. The phrase, caught everything that was thrown at him, was used in nearly every single one of those texts, by the way. And we also saw it in a number of reports. Sean McVay spoke about CJ Daniels. I'm excited about CJ. And he'll be another guy, when you talk about the importance of the preseason, he'll be a guy I'm looking forward to watching play, and obviously in these practice settings as well. And guys, I just get fired up when I think about these things because we know the Rams have a history of hitting on late round receivers. We know the Rams have been so successful with finding their guys later in the draft. It's what allows them, in part, to be so confident with dealing early round capital because they can consistently go out and draft dogs like this. In the 6th round, CJ Daniels coming into this roster. And of course, he hadn't done anything yet, but we're already starting to hear in training camp what a beast this guy can be. And I think it's not going to be very long. Right now he's running with the second team, but I don't think it's going to be very long until we see him getting some first-team reps. He's going to make a real push. I should have moved him up right now above Smith and Mutfield because I truly feel right now he might already be in that 4th receiver spot on this depth chart, but he might push Jordan Whittington. He might push Jordan Whittington for receiver 3. And, of course, you talk about Terrence Ferguson's role. That's not going anywhere. He's still absolutely going to have one in this offense as well that could be comparable to that 3rd receiver role. But as far as the true receivers go, C.J. Daniels might push for that 3rd spot, might push for that 3rd level of reps. And it could be absolutely critical for this Rams team. I think he's got a huge, real chance to make an early impact. Not a huge early impact. I mean, there is a chance that he can make a huge early impact. That'd be awesome. But I think early impact can look like a lot of things that can look like what we saw from Konate Mutfield last season towards the end of the year, where, yeah, Mutfield wasn't a world beater in his first season, but he got on the football field. He made big plays in big moments for a rookie who came in on the third day of the draft. I think C.J. Daniels has at least that kind of a trajectory in his first season. Next up, another young guy who is turning heads on this Rams roster, Cam Lampkin. A name I'm sure some of you guys are 100% familiar with Lampkin, but he is, I would not say, one of the most known names on this Rams roster, for sure, especially as this team continues to just load up with superstars. It can be easy to get lost in the shuffle. But Lampkin has been standing out in the last 2 days of training camp practices. He had his second interception on Monday afternoon. Back-to-back practices with a pick for Lampkin. Multiple pass breakups as well outside of that interception. A lot to get excited about with a third-year player, an undrafted free agent out of Washington State, someone who really seems to be starting to put it together at this point in his career. That's a lot to get excited about there. He's also reteamed with his former teammate, Jalen Watson, from college. Those guys were at Washington State together. I'm sure that's a little bit to get excited about for Lampkin as well. But he's got an opportunity in this room because, again, the top end of this depth chart, as far as the DBs go, is, of course, much better than it was last season. Trent McDuffie is a superstar. That guy's going to be an all-pro for this team. Jalen Watson, I think, has a chance to really carve out a much bigger name for himself this year in his first year in Los Angeles, even after coming off of a breakout season last year with the Chiefs. But you go down beyond that, and yeah, Emmanuel Forbes had his moments last season. I know a lot of people like to call him JSN's dad. He did have a really good game against JSN, but then we struggled in the playoffs against JSN as well. And then you get Lampkin, Alex Johnson, a young undrafted free agent from a couple years ago. Dre Norwood, an undrafted free agent from this year. There is an opportunity here for Lampkin to not just make this 53. I think that's almost locked at this point. But to have a real presence in this corner room as a consistent factor to get real meaningful snaps on this roster. And I think when you keep playing like this in training camp, you make yourself hard to deny. It makes it hard to deny you those first-team reps, hard to keep Cam Lampkin out of the mix when the season gets going, especially if he keeps playing at this level when the preseason comes around in just a couple of weeks. Speaking of which, we'll be here for every game of the preseason and every game of the regular season. Guys, I cannot wait. If you were with us during the playoffs last season, then I know you probably attended a couple of our Rams watch parties, but we're getting Rams watch parties going again for the preseason and the regular season. So get excited, be subscribed, and don't miss a minute of our coverage this offseason, throughout the rest of the offseason, and our watch parties in the regular season and preseason. I can't wait to see you guys there.